Okay, here we are. What you see in front of you is the Iris Viewer badges screen. On the top you see a map showing the location of the tags. On the bottom a list showing the badge names, the location, the status, and the various input states. I'm not going to go into details of this screen, but I would like to discuss some other things I've got here. I've got two infrared readers. One I called Room A, and one I call Room B. If I look at this tag here, this is my personnel badge. On the back it's got two buttons, as you can see. A larger button, which we call button 1, and a smaller button, button 2. Now if you watch my tag, as I turn it towards Room A, Nurse Nancy will jump into Room A. But as I turn the tag to Room B, Nurse Nancy will jump into Room B. See that? Let me do it again. Room A, Nurse Nancy will go into Room A, because the readers are measuring not only receiving the signal, but it's measuring the signal strength. Okay, go around to Room B, because I have a IR reader over there and an IR reader over there. Okay, now if I move the tag now close to the exit, and then the tag will enter that field, that low frequency magnetic field, it will then transmit to the other readers, whether the infrared and the radio, that I am now in field number 223. So I'm moving the tag into the LF field, and sure enough, Nurse Nancy jumps into the LF field. Okay, and that happens immediately. It says exit 23. When I leave the field, so Nurse Nancy will then jump back into, in this case, it will be Room A. Okay, so that's location. Now on the back I have, remember, buttons, and depending on the buttons I can also create rules saying what happens in the event of that one of the buttons are pressed, and I get the location, and I can define what happens to a button press of button 1 at certain locations. That might be something different that happens in other locations. Now let's talk about the baby application. I have things here. I've got, in addition to the readers, which I mentioned earlier, we've got this lamp. This lamp is wired to one of the readers, to the outputs, so that I can turn lights on and off, and we'll see some applications for that soon. And I've got my baby here. We're going to call him Baby Bob. And I've got his tag. Now we see on the screen that Baby Bill is already enrolled, and we're going to attach this tag, which is in the discharge state, to the ankle of Baby Bob. As you could hear the click, and now 5 seconds later the tag should appear on the thing, and there it is. There's Baby Bob, and he appears on the list as being active. Now at this point, since the tag is active, it will respond to the alarms. Of course, if I move the baby into the exit, I get an alarm. As you can see, the lights went on, the sirens go off, and all hell breaks loose. Okay, and we can close that alarm either from the PC, or can let it time out depending on how things are configured. So we're going to close that. As you can see, when we close it, the outputs get reset. And let's go back to our badger screen to watch the location and the various inputs of the tag. If I now tamper the tag, I now remove the tag from the baby, then of course I get a tamper alarm also that might set outputs and sirens, etc. Now I'm going to take a mother tag, and we've associated this mother badge with this baby badge, so we know that there's a match here. And if I take this baby with this mother, if they walk together to the exit, and you watch the location of the baby, both baby Bob as well as mother Martha will both relocate into the exit, and we get no alarm. That is because the baby has been escorted by an authorized person. But that person is authorized just for this baby. If I now take Baby Bob and have Mother Martha walk with if I take baby Bill and I take baby Bill to the exit, even though Mother Martha is escorting him, since it's the wrong mother, we'll get an alarm. This is the scenario of the nursery, for example. So if we put them both in there, they both go to exit 23, but I do get an alarm. Now we're going to perform a match test. So we've got Mother Martha in her room, which is room A, together with baby Bob, which is her baby, and she wants to just confirm that her baby is in fact hers. She presses the button on the tag and she gets a green light, indicating that she is in the same location as her baby. However, if we move baby Bob into room B and take baby Bill into room A together with Mother, let's get Mother, there we go. So now we got Bill and Mother Martha in room A, and Mother Martha presses the button, we get a red light. I think maybe you might not be seeing the color, but you can tell it's the top light. So we've we've shown a successful and a failed match test. Another method of performing a match test is simply using this handheld LF exciter. This little LF exciter has got about a 20 centimeter range. So if the mother wants to test for a match, or the nurse wants to test for the match, she simply presses the button and she immediately gets the green light indicating, okay, this is a successful match. Whereas if we take the tag of baby Bill and the mother does a match test, then she gets the red light. So that's an immediate indication that the baby is or is not hers, and it does not require or it can accommodate multiple babies in the same location. The next thing we're going to discuss is suspending the tag. As we mentioned earlier, you can suspend either using a display unit, a remote display unit, or via the PC. So if we take our baby Bob and we suspend the tag, it is now in the suspended state, as you can see. And even though I take the baby to the exit, you can see it's in exit 23, and it did not alarm even though it wasn't escorted. Okay, it's that because it now has been suspended. However, if I remove the badge at this point, or if I tamper the tag, I will get the alarm because it is still sensitive, it is still armed for the tamper, but not for the exit. And we can do all these little tricks in the system. Now when I activate the tag, this is true also when the baby is born, you could set the name using an on-key keyboard. Of course, the entire system here is designed for touch screen, which is very important in a hospital environment. You don't need keyboards collecting dust. Okay, and now we're going to activate it again. It's active. And the next step is a discharge. So we're going to perform the discharge that requires a match test. Okay, so if we take our baby and we change the status to the discharge state, and now we see it's allow discharged. When I then perform a match test, a successful match test, using the mother tag, confirming that the baby is being sent home with the correct mother, I get the correct match test. The baby then disappears from the list, at least from the list of active tags, and now I can safely remove the tag from the baby and send the baby home.